Actually, yesterday we mentioned that we will start at 7:45, but
Mhm. Okay, it's okay. Anyway, we are chanting for the
Ukrainian.
yes.
Hare Krishna,
Okay,
Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Today we are starting a bit early to sing for what is happening in the world, especially in Ukraine, and we pray to the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, to have, I won't say have compassion on us, but because He's a cause of all causes, but still we will ask Him if He can bring peace, especially to these, women and kids that are going through hardship, and hopefully our prayers will be heard. Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Astatya Disatarini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pastatya Disatari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gora Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gora Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gora Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gora Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gora Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gora Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, 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 Nitai Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Jayo Sachinandana, Jayo Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana Gora Hare, Jayo Sachinandana, Jayo Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana Gora Hare, Jaya Sachinandana, Jayo Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana Gora Hare, Jayo Sachinandana, Jayo Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana Gora Hare, Gora, 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 Hare. Gora, 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 Hare. Gora, 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 Hare. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, Nitai Gora Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gora Haribo, Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Tagora Haribo, 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 Tagora Haribo, Tagora Haribo, 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 Haribo,
Thank you, Prabhu, for very, very good kirtan.
माता जी आपका आवाज ब्रेक हो रहा है।
Hmm?
आपका आवाज ब्रेक हो रहा
Oh, let me wait a second.
है।
Okay.
Okay, should we continue?
Yes, Prabhu.
चैंटिंग ब्रो।
It's Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Yeah, Chaitanya Bhagavat, we're doing chapter 11. We are on page 124 on text 31. Okay, just a quick recap. Now we know that Nimai Pandit is still doing his scholastic pastime, and as we know, he is doing it in such a way, and he's not talking about Krishna at all. And everybody know that he is a very intelligent person, a scholar, and sometimes they are afraid to walk even on the same side of the road. What will happen? He will walk on one side, and then even like Mukunda and Srivas and all that Pandit, when they will see him, they will go on the other side of the road, and he will talk very, I won't say harsh in a way, but he was proving something. And then we know also that he was challenging them, some of them, and then he would say that, those who does not want to study under me, they are like, like fool in a way, because just studying is something. Anybody can read a book, take a book and read, but we have to study under a bona fide spiritual master, or Siksha Guru, as we say, Diksha Guru and all that, because they are the one who will guide us. And I gave this example last time. If somebody wants to become a doctor, if we buy all the books and we start to read the book, will we become a doctor? Or should we go through the course, through the university, through the lab experience and all that? Then the institution, as we say, will declare us as qualified to exercise. A bit the same principle. We cannot just take a book and read by ourselves. We should be studying under the guidance of senior devotees. This is what he was proving, because just reading and joining two words together does not mean that we have understood the real purpose also. And also now we know that in this chapter we are talking about Ishvara Puri coming, and he was trying to conceive his identity, but unfortunately, great devotees, when they start to hear the name of Krishna, they cannot like resist. And but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so far, if somebody will come and speak about Krishna to him, he will talk other thing other than Krishna, but it's philosophical, but does not mention the name of Krishna. This is why some of the devotee of there was also not very happy. They tried to to avoid him in a way. Okay, let's continue. We will continue from text 31. If anybody want to read,
I can read, Prabhuji.
okay.
ए माता प्रभु निज सेवक चिनीना जिज्ञासेना फनकी सबे जाने ने हरिया. In this way, the Lord recognized his devotees by challenging them for clarification on some point, but they were all defeated in the ensuing argument. Shrivasadi dekile o fanki jignasena mitya vakya vanya bhaye sabe pulayena. Srivas and the other devotees were all challenged in this way by the Lord, but they would all run away in fear of wasting time in useless arguments. Fearful, fearful of useless talks in the form of being challenged by Nimai, the devotees headed by Srivas would run away from him to avoid confrontation. Although the devotees were qualified to engage in philosophical debate, they were not eager to indulge in arguments on inconceivable subjects since dry agreements are inconclusive. Sahaje virakta sabe Shri Krishnera rase Krishna vakya mina arati chunahi vase. The devotees were naturally detached due to their advancement in Krishna consciousness. They did not care to hear anything other than topics related to Lord Krishna. The Rasika devotees of Adoksaja Krishna are naturally detached from all objects not related to Krishna. Their resolve, their resolute love was displayed by their seeing everything in relationship with Krishna. Because they realized the necessity of having a taste for Krishna consciousness, they considered the taste of inferior objects to be useless. देखिले प्रभु मात्रा पानकी से जिना से प्रबोधित नारे के ना से upahase. As soon as the Lord saw any devotee, he would challenge him, and when he failed to give the correct response, the Lord would tease him. Whenever Nimai met a devotee, he would greatly disturb him with his challenges. The devotees could not check Nimai by answering his challenges. Therefore, all their arguments ultimately ended in Nimai teasing them. Yadike hadike Prabhu asena dure sabe palayena panki jigna jigna jignasara dare. If anyone of them saw the Lord coming in the distance, they would run away out of fear of being challenged, fearful of uselessly wasting time in insignificant material arguments. The devotees of the Lord always avoid coming face to face with Nimai. In order to avoid meeting him, they kept a distance from him. Krishna Katha Sunite Sabe Balavase Fanki Vishnu Prabhu Krishna Kathanai Jagnase. The devotees all love to hear topics concerning Lord Krishna, but Nimai did not mention anything about Krishna and he challenged them. The devotees love to hear topics of Krishna, but the Lord bewildered them with subjects not related to Krishna for the purpose of keeping himself unknown or hidden from devotees, thus maintaining his covered status. Raja Patha Diya Prabhu Aise Na Dekadina Padu Padu Yara Sange Maha Odar Tera Tina. One day, as Nimai walked on the main street with his students, he displayed symptoms of great pride. While engaged in a battle of words with the students, Nimai often exhibited impudence or arrogance. Mukunda yanena ganga nanakari bare Prabhu dekhi ade pala ilabukoto daore. At that time, Mukunda was on his way to take bath in the Ganges, but when he saw Nimai coming, he ran away. देखी देखी प्रभु जिज्ञासेना गोविंदेरा स्थाने ये बात हमारे देखी पाला लेला कहने गोविंदा बोले ना अमी न जानी पंडिता आरा कोनो करी आरा कोनो करी ये वा chalila konbita. Seeing this, the Lord inquired from Govinda, why did this boy run away upon seeing me? Govinda replied, O Pandita, I don't know. Perhaps he went somewhere for some work. The Govinda referred to in this verse is not the blacksmith Govinda. He was the Lord's associate, servant, and doorkeeper at that time. Haribol.
Want to share, Prabhu?
Yes, again, this is Prabhu, just like you had mentioned, Lord Gauranga is manifesting his pastimes as a great Pandita, full of arrogance and always in a challenging mood, and so the devotees were avoiding him. They were going in opposite direction when they see him. But nobody could defeat him. It showed how smart he was, but at the same time, he was also very arrogant in the sense that he would challenge them and then put them in their place. That's all, Prabhu.
Yes. Actually, he's continuing his scholastic pastime, and this will continue for some time. And one very important point here that is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying in the purport is the devotees, they were already devotee of Krishna, like Srivas and Mukunda and Govinda and all that. They did not want to argue with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that means with Nimai Pandit at that time, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said it's a useless discussion. Sometime, even in our life, we will see that there are people, you will talk to them about Krishna, and you know that these people will never change their mentality. Then in a way you say something, but don't go into much argument and this and that. Even we have seen like Srila Rupa Goswami, even when he was in Vrindavan, there was a Pandit that came to challenge Rupa Goswami, because he said that he heard that this Rupa Goswami is a great scholar, and he said that he has already defeated so many people. He said, if I defeat Rupa Goswami, then I will be the best of the best. Then Rupa Goswami know that this person was coming for what purpose, and Rupa Goswami accepted defeat, and he even signed a paper that he has been defeated. Then Jiva Goswami, who was a disciple, he was his nephew, of course, but he was learning under the guidance of Rupa Goswami. He could not take this, and he wanted to challenge this Pandit. Actually, he did and defeated him, and but Rupa Goswami was not very happy about that. But anyway, this is not the purpose. We won't go into the detail. But what I'm trying to say, even Rupa Goswami did not want to do useless talk, because he know that that this person is coming in a challenging mood, then better accept defeat. And we as aspiring devotee, and at work or anywhere, you will meet people like that, that will come to prove you that you are wrong, or you're wasting your time practicing what you are doing. Then with these people, don't try to win, don't try to convince them, because at the end of the day, you will see that these people, their intention was not to come in a submissive way. Then don't waste your time. You can just say a few things, but just leave them, because what will happen, you can get frustrated at the end of the day. You can get like, because some people, they have really a strong argument, and if we are not very we know there are three category of devotee. There's a kanishta adhikari, they're not well situated in their faith. They have faith, but they have weak knowledge. And what will happen if some person has weak knowledge, these people can come and put more doubt in our head. And what can happen, instead of we convince them, we can become doubtful. And then, instead of going forward in our spiritual life, we can start to ask question ourselves. Then we have to be careful on that, in that regard. Okay, let's continue. Somebody else from text 41.
Yeah, I can read, Prabhu.
Okay.
41, right? प्रभु बोले जानी लेना ये लगी पलाया बाहिर्मुख संभाषा करते ना यू आया. The Lord said, I know the reason why he is avoiding me. He does not want to speak with a non-devotee. Speaking on subject matter not related to Krishna is materialistic speech. Conditioned soul engage material object in their sense gratification with the help of their mind. Then, induced by material knowledge, the conditioned soul forget topics of Krishna and spend their time discussing topics related to the external energy. Those who are self-realized engage themselves in topics that are useful for the service of Hari. The conclusion is that a living entity should never waste time discussing anything other than topics of Hari. Ebita padaye yata Vaishnavera Sastra Panjivriti Tika Ami Vakhaniye Matra. This boy studies only Vaishnava literature, while I explain only Panji with Vritti and Tika. The word Vaishnavira Sastra refers to Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the principal's commentary on the Badrayana Sutras or Brahma Sutra. It is stated Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Alam Yad Vaishnavam Priyam. Srimad Bhagavatam is spotless Purana and is most dear to the Vaishnavas. These words also refer to the 6 Vaishnava Puranas headed by the Vishnu Purana and the Padma Purana. The Vaishnava Smriti, such as that of Harita, from among the 20 Dharma Shastra, headed by that of Manu. The Shruti, such a Gopala Tapani and Nrsimha Tapani. The history of such as the Mahabharata and the original Ramayana. The Satyavata Pancharatas, headed by the Narad, Hayasrisha and Prahlada, and literature written by the exalted pure devotee. 1 second, Prabhu. Amara संभासे नाही कृष्णेरा कथाना Ateva amadiki kare palayana. I do not speak anything about Krishna, therefore he ran away when he saw me. Since Sri Gaurasundara statement contained to mention of the qualities of Krishna, the devotee left him in the distance and went far away. Santose palina gali prabhu mukundare vyapa dese prakasa karena apanare. The Lord called Mukunda some ill name, yet he was actually satisfied with him. At the same time, he indirectly disclosed his identity. Being satisfied at heart, the Lord manifested his own identity on the pretext of externally chastising Mukunda. In other words, he approved the discussions of Hari Katha. The devotee of Ram discussed the name of Sri Sitaram rather than the name of Radha Krishna, but their external exhibition of such difference in opinion is actually another way of hearing the name of Radha and Krishna. Similarly, the devotee of Krishna chant the name of Radha Govinda before the devotee of Ram in order to test their qualification of chanting the name of Sitaram. The name indicating the regulative opulent feature of the Lord. Such quarrels in the service of Lord Hari are just contradictions of eternal and external endeavors. Prabhu bole are beta katha dina thaka pala ela kotha more edai paka. The Lord said, my dear boy, how long will you avoid my clutches? Do you think you will escape my associations by running away? The word paka, pach, gana, or corruptions of the word parikarma means by chance or accident, device or risk. Hasi bole Prabhu aage, padona katha dina, tabe se dekhiva mora Vaishnave rachina. Smiling, the Lord said, when I finish my studies, then you will all see my Vaishnava's qualities. E mata Vaishnava mui haimu samusare aja bhava aisi asi bekha amara duare. I will be such a Vaishnava that Brahma and Shiva will come to my door. The authority demigod like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are the dear friend of the Vaishnavas. Brahma, Shiva, Narad and others make an auspicious appearance wherever there are Vaishnavas who are attend to the service of the Lord by worldly consideration. The demigods are very exalted, but the arrival of demigod at the door of Vaishnavas with whom they are affectionately bound is a display of their humility. Suna bhai sabai amara vachana Vaishnava ami hai mumui sarva shana. My dear brother, listen to me. I will certainly become an extraordinary Vaishnava. The words sarva vilakshana refer to one who is more attached to the service of Lord than all other Vaishnavas. While comparing the levels of abhidheya in order to ascertain who is the best of the soul surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami has written in his Upade, Upades Samrita, I don't know, as follows. In the Shastra, it is said that of all type of fruitive worker, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher value of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, Jnanis, who are one who is practically liberated by what virtue of his knowledge may take a devotional service. He is superior to the others. However, one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotee because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna. The transcendental god boy among the gopis, Srimati Radharani, is the most dear to Krishna. Her, her Kunda lake is as profoundly dear to the Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis, who then will not reside at Radha Kunda, and in the spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings. Render loving service to the render loving service to the divine couple Sri Radha Govinda, who perform their ast, ast, asta Kalya Lila, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the bank of Radha Kund are the most fortunate people in the universe. हमारी देखिया एबे ये सबे पलाया तमारा ओ ये ना मोरा गुना कृति गाया. Those who run away from me today will chant my glories and qualities tomorrow. एते का बोले या प्रभु चलीला हसीते ग्रहे गेला निजा शिष्या गणेरा साथे. After speaking in this way, Nimai smiled and returned home with his student. Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu.
You want to say something?
The one point, Prabhu, in text 41, here it says that one should never waste their time discussing anything other than topic of Hari. So we should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, several thing there, and as we can see again, now he's saying that one day they will know who I am, and he in the verse 44 he said that Mukunda know him. You remember last time or the time before or the previous week we were reading that Mukunda was also like very learned, because he is an incarnation of Hanuman and Shiva, Rudra, and he was debating with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very fiercely at one point in time. And then Nimai Pandit, what he did, he just touched Mukunda, touch him, and Mukunda get like an infusion of bliss for his body, and he felt that this Nimai, this boy Nimai, is not an ordinary person. And he understood that Nimai, who is Nimai? And of course, in this all these personalities, they came, as we know, everybody came in this pastime. They are doing a role for us actually. And in this, Nimai Pandit is debating, and then not to make this discussion between him and Mukunda go further, he calmed down Mukunda. And here in text 44 is saying that the Lord called Mukunda Swami name and yet actually satisfied with him. At the same time, he indirectly disclosed his identity. And we know that Mukunda somehow or other, he knows that Nimai Pandit is not an ordinary person, or he's Krishna himself. And then also, he's saying that today you are avoiding me, but tomorrow you will come. And he's even saying that even Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and great demigod will come at my doorstep. And we know that even Srila Prabhupada, when he was here in the US and he was doing, his preaching, and there are several incidents that happened. One time there was a lot of people that was invited, but when Srila Prabhupada arrived there was not so many people. And then Srila Prabhupada asked the devotees to bring a chair. The devotee did not understand why, because the program was going on. And then afterward, they asked Srila Prabhupada, you asked us to bring a chair, but nobody was sitting there. It was for whom? And then Srila Prabhupada told them, oh, you did not see Narad Muni was here. And that means, this verse is what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying here. Even all these great personalities come when a great devotee, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but even great devotees, they come. And we have living proof of Srila Prabhupada that these great personalities, they came to give Srila Prabhupada this great encouragement to continue with his mission. And whatever he do, will be successful. Even this Rupa Goswami came and talked to Srila Prabhupada when he was in the Damodar temple when he was watching, behind, through his window, he can see Rupa Goswami Samadhi. And, he was very hesitate. He was not being confident in himself. And at one point in time, Srila Rupa Goswami told him that you continue to do what you are doing. Of course, everybody, all this parampara is behind him. And this is from Vrindavan. And then in the US, Narad Muni was here with him. That means all this giving you proof that what is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying here is absolute truth. And even as devotees, maybe we're not too advanced, but we have, if we want, we have the right intention. Krishna and the parampara and guru and devotees all will help us to do what we are trying to do, to help others to hear this message of Krishna. Okay, let's continue. And somebody else want to continue?
I can read, Prabhu.
Okay.
Hey Mata Ranga Kare Vishambhara Raya Caitanya Janite Pare Yadi Na Janaya. Who can understand these pastimes enjoyed by Lord Vishambhara unless he reveals them? Hena Mate Bhaktagana Nadiyaya Vaise Sakala Nadiya Mata Dhanaputra Rase. In this way, the devotees resided in Navadvip, which was filled with people intoxicated by wealth and children. Sunile Kirtana Kare Parihasa Keha Bole Sabapeta Pushibara Asha. As soon as such people heard the devotees' kirtans, they taunted the devotees. Someone said, this is just a means for filling their stomachs. Being induced by material knowledge, all the residents of Nadia were maddened by the affection of their wives and children and the accumulation of material education and wealth. Thus, they were averse to the service of Lord Hari. They neither had attachment for hearing the glories of the Lord, nor did they realize the great necessity of chanting the glories of Krishna. That is why they neglected and derided the service of the Lord. They considered Hari Kirtana, which meant for the service of the Lord, as a means of filling the stomach for those who are engaged in fruitive activities. Keha bole jnana yoga ediya vichara uddhatera prayanritya ekona vyabhara. Another said, they've given up the cultivation of knowledge to dance like madmen. What kind of behavior is this? Speculating on impersonal Brahman is called jnana. The impersonalists conclude that this jnana is the goal of life. Objects that are used as ingredients for the sense gratification of conditioned souls are averse to Krishna are known as Vishaya or sense objects. To remain indifferent to such objects or to restrain one's mind from these objects is called yoga. Persons who are following the path of monism, considering merging into Brahman or merging with the Lord as the ultimate goal of their living entities, The sadhana is also based on impersonal Vedanta and Ashtanga Yoga Shastras. The devotional service of the Lord, however, never produces such abominable and unpalatable temporary deceit. The restlessness that is found in persons who are inclined to the service of the Lord is not due to sense gratification. But since the impersonalists and the yogis are situated on the platform of narrow-mindedness, they are unable to understand the endeavors of the Lord's devotees. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.40 in the following words. When a person is actually advanced and takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is very dear to him, he is agitated and loudly chants the holy name. He also laughs, cries, becomes agitated, and chants like a madman, not caring for outsiders. In the consideration of abhidheya, temporary sadhanas followed by the jnanis and yogis are not accepted by the devotees. No activity is favorable to the service of eternally liberated souls as abhidheya sadhana bhakti. This does not mean the sense gratification on the pretext of the duplicitous artificial hearing, chanting, dancing, and playing instruments of the olas, the baulas, the kartabhajas, sahijyas, shakhi bekis, smartas, and ativadis is approved as sadhana or the cultivation of pure devotional service. Keha bole katava padilun bhagavata nachiba kandiba henana dekilun patha. Someone else said, I have studied Srimad Bhagavatam for a long time, but I've never found any mention of dancing and crying as a spiritual path. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, the like so-called scriptural reciters with steel-framed hearts proudly declare that there is no instruction in Srimad Bhagavatam that devotees should cry and dance while hearing and chanting the names of Krishna. Although the inauspicious instruction for the artificial dancing and crying that the proud reciters and listeners of Srimad Bhagavatam exhibit in order to fulfill their mundane selfishness is not found in Srimad Bhagavatam, the transformations of ecstatic love born from the loving service of Lord Krishna that are sometimes spontaneously manifested in the pure living entities or absorbed in the service of Hari are profusely mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Shrivasa Pandit Chari Bhaira Lagiya Nidra Nahi Ai Bhai Bhojana Kariya. My dear brothers, because of Shrivas and his three brothers, we cannot sleep after eating. As a result of the pure devotees' loud chanting for the pleasure of Lord Krishna, people who were attached to sense gratification felt disturbed in enjoying the happiness of eating and sleeping and were thus greatly displeased. Since Srivas Pandit and his three brothers loudly chanted the names of Krishna every night, the fruitive workers who are prone to material enjoyment could not respect such pure conceptions of abhideya. धीरे धीरे कृष्णा बलीले की पुण्य ना है नाचीला gaile daka charila kihaye. Is there piety in softly chanting Krishna's name? Must one chant, dance, and shout loudly? Ordinary persons who are engaged in fruitive activities utilize their mundane experience to accumulate piety for the better arrangement of sense gratification. According to logic, Kamukha kamini mayam pashyanti nikhilam jagat. A lusty man sees the entire world is full of women. People thought that on the pretext of serving Hari, the intelligent, pure devotees were also accumulating piety to gratify their temporary senses like themselves. Being controlled by such base considerations, they thought that the Vaishnavas, like themselves, had a thirst for accumulating piety in their all activities. That is why the non-devotees who were averse to the Lord displayed a difference in opinion with the devotees' abhideya sadhana or method of achieving the goal of life. They were partial to the artificial chanting of the holy names in a solitary place, and opposed to the all auspicious congregational chanting of the names of Krishna. Thus, they were misguided to their concocted imagination. They foolishly declared that the Vaishnavas active for achieving the goal of life, like singing and dancing for the pleasure of Krishna and loudly calling out the names of Krishna with love, were equal or even inferior to artificial nirjana bhajana or chanting of the holy names in a solitary place. Hey mata yata papa pasandira gana dekhi liye Vaishnavera kare kukathana. In this way, all the sinful atheists abused the Vaishnavas whenever they saw them. The word samkathana refers to the disclosure of contrary feelings while profusely criticizing the Vaishnavas. Shuniya Vaishnava Sabha Mahadukha Paya Krishna Bali Sabe Ya Kandena Urdhavaraya. Hearing their abusive words, the devotees were greatly distressed. They would chant Krishna's name and cried loudly. The Vaishnavas felt greatly distressed at heart on hearing the wicked words of the fruitive workers, mental speculators, and sense gratifiers. Considering these people's pathetic condition, the Vaishnavas desired their eternal benefit and continually appeal to the Lord from the core of their hearts. Kata dine esaba dukhera haba nasha jagatere Krishna Chandra karaha prakasha. How long will this miserable condition last? O Krishna Chandra, please manifest yourself to these people. The devotees waited with the expectation that they would soon see the appearance of the absolute truth, Sri Krishna, within this material world. By the appearance of Krishna, all the darkness of ignorance in the material world would be destroyed. This thought gave them solace. Haribol. Yeah, Prabhu, here the condition of Nadia is described where there are a lot of fruitive workers who do not understand bhakti. Whenever they see the devotees, they used to tease them. And they could not understand how can people dance and cry for Krishna. Many people, some people used to say that they have read Bhagavatam, but they've never read that people would cry or dance for Krishna. And they were also thinking, there were some mentioned that since they were lusty, they were also thinking that these devotees are doing this bhakti for gaining piety. They were evaluating in the same light as they were themselves, like they were all full of lust, and they're thinking that these devotees are also doing for some gain or benefit. And so even when they were crying or devotees were crying or loudly chanting, they were being chastised that, can you not chant softly? Can you not go into a solitary place? They did not understand the bhakti or the feelings the devotees had for Krishna. And the devotees were feeling distressed that, okay, these people don't really understand who Krishna is, don't understand bhakti. But they were just thinking that, okay, Krishna will come in this material world, and that was their solace, that was their hope. That's all, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, this is a very important point, and I think we touched on this last time or the time before, that sometimes we look at people according to their status. If they are well educated, maybe we'll listen to them. If they don't, we see that they're not so educated, we won't listen to them. And this is something that we should not do a mistake, because as we mentioned last time, that these devotees, maybe in the previous life, they already did all this. And at one point in time, everybody tried to renounce the status, maybe we are a big scholar, we sing very well, we know so many verses, we know this, we know that. Then at one point in time, we know that, oh, it's not that will make me a better devotee. Knowledge is important, yes, but we should not become puffed up. And here, these devotees, they were very simple. They were dancing and chanting, and especially these people that were like scholarly, they see these people like they're wasting their time, and nowhere it has written that you have to dance and chant. But of course, we know that the gopi was dancing and chanting. Everybody know that. The gopis, when Krishna was here, and then Krishna left, and then even in the Gopi Geet, Krishna appeared, and then in the Raslila dance, Krishna was here, and then he left. The gopi was crying, and they were singing as well. But this is a mood actually that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us. This mood of love in separation. Of course, whenever there is separation, there is sadness. And wherever there is sadness, you can see somebody crying. This is the topmost actually level of love, which is the gopi have, the gopi bhav. Of course, we are not there, we're not trying to imitating them, but this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to show us. And of course, materialistic people will not even understand that. Even maybe okay, here people don't say that because there's not like in India, for example, or in Mauritius, we will say, oh, these people, they're wasting their time. Go and find a job and work. Why are you going door to door and beg, or or chanting on the street? Or in Mauritius, we have when I was there was some Mataji distributing book and incense and all that, and some people was criticizing them. They were saying, look at this young girl, they're wasting their life, they're selling incense on the street. Go back to school or do something which is more reasonable. What are you doing there? Now, this is how people see devotees. But anyway, then he talk about this, sambandha, gyan, or samhita sadhana, they call it here, establishing our relationship with Krishna and all that. Anyway, let's continue. Maybe somebody else will continue.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Okay.
Text 61. Shakala Vaishnava Mila Advaitera Sthane Pasandira Vachana Karena Nivedane. The Vaishnavas all told Advaita Prabhu about the abusive words of the atheists. Those who are averse to the service and pastime of the Supreme Lord are called Pasandis. The behavior and statement of such Pasandis are full of envy for Vaishnavas. Understanding Sri Advaita Prabhu as a leader among the Navadvip Vaishnavas, all the Vaishnavas informed him of the atheistic views of those who were opposed to Vaishnavas. Sunya Advaita Haya Rudra Avatara Samharimu Sababali Karaye Hankara. Hearing their account, Advaita Acharya became as angry as Lord Rudra and loudly exclaimed, I will kill them all. As the leader of the Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha, Sri Advaita Prabhu became furious upon hearing about the abusive words of the Pasandis and loudly declared, I will annihilate all of them. Those less intelligent persons who are averse to the Vaishnava consider the anger of Vaishnava Acharya Advaita Prabhu equal to or similar to their own anger, which is born from disturbance of their sense gratification, and are thus certainly guaranteed of going to hell. Asitechi Emoro Prabhu Chakradara Dehi Baki Haya He Nadia Bitara. My lord, who carries a chakra is coming. Then you will see what happens in Nadia. Shri Advaita Prabhu began to tell the Vaishnavas who had approached him for remedies that his worshipable Lord Vishnu, who holds the Sudarshan chakra, was coming to Navadvip soon. By him, the ignorance of the fools would be destroyed. Karaimu Krishna Sarva Nayana Gochara Tabe se Advaita Nama Krishna Re Kinkara. I will make Krishna appear before the eyes of all. then this person named Advaita will be known as a servant of Krishna. The devotees of Krishna are non-different from Krishna. Since absolute truth is non-dual, according to the concept of oneness, the various manifestations of Vishnu and his primary portions are non-different from him. According to the philosophy of difference, the living entities are situated on the platform of inconceivable oneness and difference. That is why Acharya Prabhu had to accept the title Advaita. The philosophy Achinta Beda Abeda, which is eternally pure and primeval, was previously known as Suddha Advaita, which is with the consent of sages coming in the line of Bodhayana. This philosophy was called Vishishta Advaita by those in the line of Sri Ramanuja. Yet actually, according to the consideration of variegatedness, this philosophy is only a partial manifestation of the Ajintya Beda Abeda philosophy. The philosophy of Dvaita has a purpose similar to that described in the philosophies of Suddha Advaita and Vishishta Advaita, both of which have conclusions different from the philosophy of Kevala Advaita or exclusive monism. But it is also an incomplete manifestation of the Achintya Beda Abeda philosophy. The philosophy of Suddha Advaita, which openly and clearly established the difference with the philosophy of Kevala Advaita, is also a preliminary consideration of the Achintya Beda Abeda philosophy. Therefore, desiring to perfect the four philosophy conclusions of Suddha Advaita, purified monism, Vishishta Advaita, specific monism, Advaita Advaita, monism and dualism, Vishishta Advaita, specific monism, Suddha Advaita, purified dualism. Sri Advaita Prabhu, who was a Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya, inaugurated the process of considering Vedanta in the Gaudiya Vaishnava way. Sri Gaurasundara and his followers, the six Gosamis, have generated new branches and sub-branches of the philosophy of Achintya Beda Abeda. In order to fulfill the meaning of his name, Advaita had to manifest the form of Krishna to everyone, including the Buddhist, karmis, and impersonalists. Sri Advaita Acharya was eternally situated as a servant of Krishna, manifests his own service propensity in this material world. The word sarva in this verse refers to the former Vaishnava sages as well as the followers of philosophy of Madhvacharya who appeared in the Middle Ages. The servant of Krishna has no entanglement other than service to Krishna. All their activities are meant to please Krishna. An Acharya has no thought or activity other than let everyone of this world be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. When the devotional service mixed with the fruitive activities turns into devotional service devoid of even a scent for fruitive activities, it is called Kevala Bhakti. When the devotional service mixed with fruitive activities turns into devotional service devoid of even a scent of fruitive activities, it is called Kevala Bhakti or unalloyed devotional service. At that time, the distinction born of material considerations are eradicated and the spiritual distinctions between a servant and the Lord are awakened. Aradina katagiya taka by saba etai dekiba saba Krishna anubhava. Please wait for few more days, my dear brothers, and you will see Krishna right here. Sri Advaita Prabhu said, "O devotees, please wait for some days. You will soon realize Krishna within and without. By the strength of your devotional service, Sri Krishna, who enjoys with Gopi, will manifest his form as Sri Gaurasundara among you. By serving him, you will achieve the perfection of serving Krishna." This does not mean that Advaita Prabhu preached the philosophy of Gopichadi Gauranga Nagari or becoming a lover of Gauranga who has left the gopis in the performance of Kirtan, which is the service of Sri Gaurasundara, the worship of Gaura in the worship of Krishna, and the worship of Krishna is the worship of Gaura. Not understanding Sri Gaurasundara as Krishna and considering Sri Nityananda Swarupa as merely a spiritual master, foolish, ignorant people fall from the devotional service of the Lord. Moreover, if they consider that the pastimes of Gaura are not those of Krishna, but only the pastimes of a devotee, Then they meet a similar fate. The pastimes of Sri Krishna or Sri Gaurashundra's pastime of giving conjugal enjoyment, they are not contaminated with the philosophy of the Prakrita Sahajyas, mundane devotees. If the sadhaka considers that the pastimes of Sri Gaura are not those of Sri Krishna but are separate manifestation of variegated material enjoyment, he falls from his position and becomes a conditioned soul. Then, leaving Krishna's service, he is supplied by the illusionary energy with the evil propensities of imaging to enjoy Gaura. The pure devotees of Gaura do not associate with such a so called Gaura Bhaktas who are actually servants of Maya and followers of Shakta philosophy. In the consideration of pure devotees, mixed devotional service is prominently found in the 13 pseudo Vaishnava upper sampradayas like Baula, Sahajya, and Gauranagari. Giving up such unwanted association is an exhibition of non-duplicitous devotion to Sri Gaurashundra until the propensities for serving Krishna is awakened in the heart of the living entity. His clear perception of Sri Gaurasundra remains covered by the spirit of material enjoyment. When this covering is removed, then under the guidance of Sri Advaita Prabhu, one soon attains the fortune of seeing Sri Gaurasundra. Advaitara Vakya Suni Bhagavata Gana Dukha Pasariya Shabe Karina Kirtana. After hearing the words of Advaita, all the devotees forget their distress and begin Kirtan. Uttila Krishna Re Nama Parama Mangala Advaita Sahita Shabe Hailavi Vivala. As the auspicious sound of Krishna names arose, Advaita and other devotees became overwhelmed. While loudly chanting the 16 names or 32 syllables of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, or by loudly chanting the names of Sri Radha Govinda, Sri Advaita Prabhu became overwhelmed in ecstasy. According to the learned viewpoint, the names of Sri Radha Krishna and Sri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, as indicated in two of the concluding verses of Vipala Chukum Anjali, beginning with Ashambhanar Amrita Sindhu Mai, are included within the 16 names or the 32 syllables of the Mahamantra. The so-called devotees of pseudo sampradayas who are opposed to the followers of Sri Rupa Goswami, though identifying themselves as devotees, are unable to understand the identity of Krishna names and being reluctant to accept the Hare Krishna Mahamantra composed of 16 names or 32 syllables as the names of Krishna. They thus consider the Mahamantra as ordinary mantra. These offenders are traveling towards hell and are simply rebellious against the Guru. One should discuss the verse Tande Tandavini Ratim in this regard. The names of Sri Krishna, or in other words, the names of Hare Krishna, include Sri Radha. Should I read that, Prabhu?
Yeah, it's important. Read it.
Yeah. Tunde Tanda Vini Ratim. I'll leave that and read the.
Just read the English.
Yeah. I do not know how much nectar the two-syllable Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. When then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of years. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. Inert. Govinda and the names Hare Rama also refers to Sri Radha Govinda. Those who have learned to become subordinate to Sri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, who situated as a subordinate of Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhuvara, who composed Sri Radhashtaka and Sri Hari Namashtaka, can never commit offenses at the feet of Sri Jiva Goswami. Sri Gaurasundra has incarnated in order to teach people that the names of Sri Radha Govinda and Sri Radha Govinda themselves are non-different. He instructed the conclusions of Achintya Beda Abeda to thoughtful persons. Pasandira Vakya Jala Swabagela Dura Emata Pulakita Navadvipa Pura. The pain caused by the atheist abusive words were mitigated as the city of Navadvipa became filled with ecstasy. Sri Advaita Prabhu's solacing words and extinguish the burning of fire arising from the atheistic statement in which the devotees of the Krishna were compared to atheists who are envious of the Vaishnavas and who worship five gods. The attitude of atheism, in other words, the temperament of being envious of Vaishnavas and averse to devotional service, is present in the covered Buddhist codes of reconciliation and its propagation. Since this temperament was vanquished, or in other words, when impersonalism opposed to Vaishnavas were temporarily checked in the town of Navadvip, the material conception of the residents of Navadvip were removed. As a result, pure Vaishnavas were greatly pleased. Adhyana Shukke Prabhu Vishwambara Raya Niravadi Jana Rira Ananda Badaya. Lord Vishwambar happily passed his days in study and always increased the joy of Mother Sachi. The aim of Sri Gaurasundra's enjoyment of the scholastic pastimes was to help the living entities of this world cultivate Krishna consciousness. Therefore, studying and teaching pastimes of Sri Sachinanda increased the happiness of Sachi Devi. No one should consider Sachi Devi, who is a non-different from Yashoda, as being non-different from the external energy Maya, and thus become established in the Shakta philosophy of followers of Durga. Maya Devi, who is an external energy of the Lord and the mother of the universe, can never become the mother of Gaurasundra. Rather, Sachi is a personification of Vatsalya Rasa, which nourishes spiritual bliss. Since the sense enjoys, fruitive workers and mental speculators glorify the secondary meaning of the words, the primary meaning of the words do not manifest in their heart. Only persons who are engaged in the service of the Lord are fully qualified to understand the primary meanings. Such qualification is awakened in the heart of the living entity only by the mercy of Krishna. Should I read the other one also, Prabhu? 70?
Yeah, 70.
Ena kale navadvipe Shri Ishwara Puri Ailena Ati Alakshita Veshadari. The meantime, Sri Ishwara Puri came in disguise to Navadvip. The word Alakshita Versa or in disguise means that he was dressed in such a way that people would not know that he was a devotee. In other words, he came dressed as a Ekadanta sannyasi.
Very well.
Haribol. Very nice, Prabhu.
You want to say something?
A lot of philosophy.
Yeah, very, very high philosophy.
Yeah, Prabhu, there's a lot of philosophy. Yeah, Achintya, Beda philosophy of by our Gaur Sundra, and also there are lots Suddha Advaita, Kevala Advaita, Achintya. There's another one. So many monism, Vishishta Advaita, so many things. So it's very hard to comprehend on all those tattvas. But what is
Yeah, okay. Actually, the most important thing that we have to understand in this, and
by God,
I will try to make it simple, what we have to understand, Achintya Bhedabhed Tattva, this is what Chaitanya Prabhu came to teach us. Because there was before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there was the Buddhism that was changing the whole Vedic system. But Buddhism was here for certain reason as well, because people was abusing the Vedas. They were using the Vedas to start eating meat. And that's why Lord Buddha came to tell people don't follow the Vedic, because in the Vedas, there are some places where it say that, you can eat meat. And then he came to dismantle that, to tell people don't follow the Vedas. Then, we know Lord Buddha is an incarnation, is one of the 10
So, Prabhu, the
avatars.
Buddhism is not a bona fide sampradaya, Prabhu.
Sorry?
Buddhism is not a bona fide sampradaya.
Not for us, but there's a reason. But anyway, we respect, because Lord Buddha is an incarnation, is an avatar among the 10 avatars. But there is a mission behind it. Then after that, Sankaracharya came. Sankaracharya came because Lord Buddha preached like God doesn't have any form, we just have to pray to God in a way, the nirvana and all this. Then Sankaracharya, he came, he start to put God, but God, as Paramatma, we have to go inside, like, impersonal Brahman, but is God exists in a way. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to even bring devotees closer to God. He said that, before it was God, us, we can become God. Like if we pray, we become one with God. But, okay, when you will study Bhakti Shastra, you will learn about that. We are individual soul and Krishna is a super soul. We cannot become one. We all have our individuality. We are one in quality, but difference in quantity. And the example that is given is just like if you go to the seaside on the beach, you take a spoon of the water. This spoon of water has exactly the same quality as a big ocean you see in front of you. Same. In terms of quality, it's one. But in terms of quantity, it's different. A spoon of water is not equal to this big, vast mass of water. This is Achintya Abhedbedharma. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to show us, that oneness does not mean oneness in everything. Oneness in quality, but difference in quality. And we keep our individuality even if we go back to Godhead. We don't become one with God because it's a relationship, like that. Anyway, I know it's a bit complicated, but anyway, you will get it, slowly as we go through this. And of course, most of you is trying to do Bhakti Shastri, where you will learn it in more detail. Anyway, I hope you get the concept about the oneness in quality and difference in quantity. I think it's not difficult to understand. And then Rupa Goswami gave another example. The example he gave is just like water, when it flow into the ocean, the water, it seems, people say, oh, the water is us, we become one with the ocean. No, actually we are like small fish in this water. When we go in the ocean, we keep our individuality in this big mass of water. We don't become one with this water. Anyway, it's already 6 minutes past 9.